Turning viewers into buyers does not require a sales call, but it simply actually only comes down to 7 sales beliefs. Those are pain, doubt, cost, desire, money, support, and trust. And whether you handle or whether you change these beliefs via marketing or via a sales call is completely up to you. But what we did is that we decided we're going to try to replace our sales calls with Claude AI, actually, in order to do as much as possible before we get on a sales call. And not only did that enable us to charge more and close easier, or even eliminate sales calls entirely, but overall, we just started closing higher quality clients since we started to stand out. I mean, this is Drake. And we didn't sell to Drake, but we sold to Sloan, who's a very good friend of Drake. And he's actually the #1 artist in the world, according to GQ magazine. And here's proof that we actually did sell to him so that you don't think that I'm lying to you. Now, the way that we did it all is, as I said before, with the 7 sales belief system. And the 7 sales belief system can be broken down in the following way. If somebody buys your product, it is always because they have a pain that is caused by their problem, and a doubt they can solve it alone, and a cost that is higher than the price of your product, and a bigger desire they want behind solving your problem, and a willingness to spend the money to do so, and the support from their loved ones if they do buy, and the most important one of all, trust that you, your product, and they themselves can get them to their desire despite their past failures. That one is actually so important because nowadays that has been misused very often, and we're in a huge trust recession right now, and people just don't know how to build trust nowadays. Now, the objectives are to precisely identify what beliefs people are missing and then replace them with the ones you want to give them. Because if somebody does not buy, right, whether it's on a sales call, marketing, low ticket, high ticket, e-commerce product, it always comes down to one of these 7 sales beliefs. Always. It's just basic human psychology. Tick these 7, somebody buys. Somebody does not buy, one or multiple of these 7 are missing. And that is what people are basically doing when they go through a sales call, broken down psychologically. So it does not need to be done on a sales call, but we've just learned to do it on a sales call because it's simpler and it doesn't require to build systems. It's a very straightforward process. But if we could eliminate that or at least make the process easier, why wouldn't we do that? Because a sales call is basically, I hop on a call and sell to one person at a time and I would sacrifice 60 minutes out of my day. But marketing is, I sacrifice 60 minutes out of my day to create one video and I can show that to thousands of people at a time and sell to thousands of people literally simultaneously. So why not do both? Right? So that's what we're going to do. Step 1 out of 2 is to identify what belief they are missing, and we're going to use Claude AI to do so. So we always create projects for every single client, and I also have a project for myself. This client is Bella. Bella she has a YouTube channel with over 160,000 subscribers, and she wanted me to help her scale her info. And what you do is you create a project which you feed with the data in order to identify the beliefs that are missing. That data means you give it all the files of your sales call transcripts, your DM data from your VA, your onboarding form, meaning the form that you send to people once people join your offer. I hope that you have an onboarding form. Then as a bonus, you give them the most successful traffic sources that people come from. For example, if you have YouTube videos, you give it the titles and thumbnails of the most successful YouTube videos and you feed it to them. Claude is smart enough in order to literally just take that as a screenshot. If you just go to most popular and you just screenshot it and you give it to it, it will understand it. It will be able to cross-reference it in every single future conversation that you guys have. What's important is just that you always name your files correctly and exactly name what is on the picture. Because then it only needs to go through the file name in order to understand what that is, and it is way easier for it to understand and process the data. Once you have that, you feed it with the instructions. This is the instructions that you got to give them. You're an expert marketer with 2 goals: identifying objections and identifying buying reasons. And this is the prompt that we give it. Now, I understand that this is going to be hard to type in. So if you want access to this document, including instructions, prompt, etc., these are actually just text fields that you can copy and paste then into your own Claude. Just send me the word prompt on Instagram inside the DMs, and I'll set up an automation that will just send you this document, a one-on-one copy of this document as a PDF to your inbox. So don't worry about that. Now, once you use that and you use this prompt together with all the data that you gave it to it, you will receive something similar to this one by Claude. Because Claude Opus 4.6 is actually so good, but it's better at cross-referencing data than human beings, especially when you have multiple clients to work with. If you are working with clients and you're not only serving yourself, but if you're serving yourself, it's going to be better at cross-referencing data than you are. Meaning, it will not only consider, hey, here's this data from a survey, but it will consider, here's this data from a survey, here's also the data from our most viral YouTube videos, and here's also the data from our onboarding form that we just launched, and here's also the data of this, that, and it will cross-reference all of that to create the perfect profile of your client. It will consider everything because AI is simply smarter than human beings, especially when it comes to processing data. It's just better than you. Sounds crazy, I know. The only thing that it's not better at is writing. But we'll come to that later on. So you will receive something similar to this. It will give you the identified goals, the blockers to that goals, and then the best combinations, for example, of the biggest goals and the biggest blockers that are holding them back. Literally anything that you need in order to sell to somebody. Because how are you not going to make a sale if you know exactly what these people want? If you know exactly how to give it to them? It's going to be so easy to sell nowadays. You don't need a sales call necessarily, because now you can use that in order to identify the 7 sales beliefs. You can go in and give it the 7 sales beliefs that I have here in this text field and just tell it, okay, which of these 7 sales beliefs are missing. I'm not doing it because it then starts to think in boxes and it gives me data in order to fulfill my task of finding missing sales beliefs, but I rather give it the prompt so that it takes all the data and then say, okay, now take this data that you've processed and give me the beliefs that are missing out of these 7. And then we can use that in step 2 out of 2 in order to replace these sales beliefs with new ones to make them want to buy out of self-interest. And we're actually going to do that with manifestation. I know what you're thinking. I am struggling. I've been struggling for a long time to believe in manifestation or beliefs and all of that for a very long time, especially visualization. But it actually makes a lot of sense when you break it down, and you can use it for marketing as well. Because marketing and your own psychology is both just human psychology, and if you know how to use it, you can change people's beliefs very quickly if you know how to change yourself. So we're going to use manifestation to do that. You see, a mind cannot distinguish between imagination and reality. And that is what people call manifestation, right? And stories enable them to imagine, and that makes it very easy to break somebody's beliefs. So basically, the way that somebody shapes their beliefs and therefore also shapes their reality is they have an experience in their life. For example, my dad doesn't love me. And now the emotion is, I'm unloved. The belief is, I'm not worth being loved. And the action is, I'm looking for love in other men. Just a very weird example. But this can be applicable to basically anything. The experience could be, I'm bad at math. Or I failed at a math test. The emotion is, I feel like I'm bad at math. The stronger belief is, I'm going to fail all tests or all math tests, and the action is, I don't even study for the math test because I'm going to fail anyways. And that shapes it. And the worst thing is, it actually makes the belief stronger and stronger and stronger, because you basically only justify your own beliefs by following your emotions created by that belief. Right? Does that make sense? So if we now know that this is how beliefs are shaped, the moment where we need to interfere is at the point of experience, because experience can be shaped either via reality or via imagination. My ex-girlfriend actually, she was super pissed at me for no reason one day, and I didn't know why. And after like multiple days, she told me that the reason why she was pissed at me is because she dreamed that I cheated on her. I did not cheat on her, but she dreamed it. And she dreamed it because I was just out and about all the time, and I was traveling, and this and she didn't know what I was doing. Now the problem was that actually created an emotion so bad that she actually didn't want to be pissed at me, but she couldn't do anything else except be pissed. She was very emotional. She was a very emotional girl, so let's be honest here. But apart from that, every single person creates emotion through imagination. Some just aren't shaped as easily as maybe that girl who was immediately very pissed and just couldn't do anything about it. But everyone is shaped through their beliefs created by an emotion, created by imagination, or created by reality, right? That is why a dream can literally make you feel bad. And that is why trusting your emotions whenever you want to take an action or not take an action or go to the gym or not go to the gym is basically just completely unreliant, because it can literally be shaped by imagination. So what we're going to do is we're going to use stories in order to make somebody imagine something, so that that imagination creates an emotion, and that emotion creates a new belief. Does that make sense? And the way that we're going to do that is through our story framework. The story framework is statement hook, right? So statement hook, vivid backstory, discovery, action, result, and you believe. So we make a huge statement that makes them think, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And then we start creating a vivid backstory. So what makes a vivid backstory very strong, I literally have no power anymore. Anyways, what makes a vivid backstory very strong is actually external and internal problems. So we have external and internal problems. External problems are problems that they can externally see in their own life, right? So external problem could be, I've been practicing for a math test for over 2 weeks now, and I've been putting in 8 hours a day every single day after school, but I've still failed the test miserably. I've actually had worse results than before, right? And the internal problem now is the emotion caused by that. That makes me feel like I'm just a failure, and I feel like I'm not worth getting a good degree in school. I feel like I'm completely worthless, and I'm just dumb. I feel stupid. I feel dumb. I feel incapable, right? If we do that, that builds a lot of relatability, because somebody who has had the exact same experience as that person will think, oh, damn, yeah, this is me. How did he solve it? And that is when we get to the next part, which is discovery. So discovery is the moment when we discover the new solution. But what then actually happened is that I discovered that it was not that I needed to practice for 8 hours a day, but I only needed to have around 3 hours a day of very in-depth focused work. And that is the discovery, right? So what did I do? From now on, I took the new action, which was to practice 3 hours a day instead of 8 hours. And I sat down, I drank a coffee, and I focused for 3 hours only. And I said afterwards, I'm not even going to touch studying. And the result of that was that for the first time in my life, I got an A+ at my test. So the moral of the story is that you don't need to practice for 8 hours, but you actually only need to practice for 3 hours with a Pareto principle. If you want to execute on the Pareto principle, I have a free product inside the link in the description, etc., etc. Does that make sense? So we're basically reshaping their beliefs all the time, right? Whether we use that to sell something, or whether you use that to replace their 8 hours a day belief with a 3 hours a day belief. So you can build a story framework into 4 types of content: YouTube case study interviews, Instagram stories, Instagram reels, and YouTube videos. So for YouTube case study interviews, every single time that we have a YouTube case study interview, we have the same structure, which is external and internal problems shared at the beginning, the hesitations caused before joining the program or executing on the solution, the thing that led them to the overcome, for example, result case studies, and then the external or internal victory, meaning both actually, that this has led to, right? So we're later going to use that to process that into ads, into reels, into testimonials, into YouTube videos, so that we can upload it and just build more trust, right? Or reshape their beliefs. Because somebody who says, for example, let's say there's a fat guy. He's fat as fuck, and this fat guy says, I thought I could not lose weight because I had a bad metabolism, which is a very external problem, and that made me feel completely hopeless. Like there was no way around it. I'm just gonna end up fat. And I was hesitated to execute on it. But the reason why I actually overcame that hesitation is because I saw your case study of James, who had the same data on the metabolism that I had, but he still did it. He still lost 35 pounds. As a result, I lost 40 pounds in the last, 12 weeks, right? That is how you reshape somebody's beliefs. And the same is with Instagram stories. Let them ask questions and answer them using the story framework, right? Have a Q&A. Ask them, what is holding you back from getting there? What is holding you back from achieving your goal? And then give them the solution through the story framework. Tell them stories about yourself, about your clients, about other people, right? I don't know, some celebrity, whatever it may be. Instagram reels. This is literally a script of a lot of viral reels we have produced and the biggest guys in the space have produced. Scroll through Instagram. Trust me when I say, scroll through Instagram and just listen to how people talk And you will see that a lot of the reels that you are seeing that are performing very well, maybe like 70%, use this exact framework. It's actually insane. And the YouTube videos as well. Let me actually show you an example for emotional bricks. So emotional bricks are, whenever I design YouTube videos, I don't just give people data. I first build their excitement. So we use emotional bricks in order to build somebody's excitement, and then we give them the lesson. So emotional brick, and then we give them a logic brick, which is the lesson itself, which are the lessons that I'm giving you right now. The only reason why is because that builds a lot more importance, and now people believe more in what I say, or are more prone to actually remember what I say, because automatically it just creates more importance in their mind, and they think, wow, this is interesting, I want to listen to it. And then more people execute on what I teach them, they get results, they come back to me, they want to work with me, and I get more clients, right? That simple. And I also use that for call to actions. Let me show you an example. Statement hook. The singular reason why people don't buy from you is because you're giving them shit they never asked for. Backstory. A client of mine put blood, sweat, and tears into building out his health coaching info product for an entire month, right? So this is the external problem. Put blood, sweat, and tears into something. But when he launched it, after a month of work, a month of building, a month of anticipation, that this will be it. This will be the moment his financial situation does a 180. This is basically a very relatable problem that people have, is that I think this is going to be the moment that everything changes. And then they are confronted with a shit ton of disappointment, because he only gained 7 new members at $47 per month, and he has more than 50,000 followers on Instagram, right? And then we get into the discovery. He thought it was his niche or his audience being broke, but he was dead wrong. What we did here is that we integrated the most common objections here, right? A lot of people, when they look at me or my offer or my product, say, hey, this doesn't work because I have a different niche, or my audience is not as big. But we've helped people with 6,000 subscribers on YouTube, 50,000 followers on Instagram, or 10,000 or 5,000 followers, or people who started completely from scratch. All of them have had results, and it works in every single niche because of our data framework, because we collect data in that niche, and then it works for that niche too, because we use their data instead of our other clients' data. And this is now where it gets interesting, right? Because we have now had the discovery, we are pre-handling the objections basically by changing their beliefs, and then we go into the action. We did a bunch of research about his audience using AI. We took his DM messages, his onboarding form submissions, etc., and we found out that his marketing was shallow. Whoops. His marketing was shallow. What is happening? Does it work now? Was shallow, vague, and directed towards the wrong audience. His audience was not broke. He actually had a bunch of rich entrepreneurs who just didn't want to buy a $37 course, but wanted his full attention. So we replaced his offer with a $6K coaching offer, this time backed with proper data. And for result, not a big $10K month, but his first Instagram story got him a $6,000 paid in full after a 30-minute call. And we show him proof as to us actually getting him that deal. That gave him even more data about why people did or did not buy, and a lot of motivation too. So what are we doing? We're telling them the action that we took. We took the data and we found out that his audience was not broke, but he actually just was selling the wrong thing to the wrong audience. And the result, 6K paid in full deal after a 30-minute call. And have a resume, find out what people want, and give them that thing. Eliminate guesswork by simply knowing more about your customers than they do, and they'll beg to buy from you no matter the niche, right? So the old belief that they had was, this doesn't work for me because I don't have a big audience and I have a wrong niche, right? And the new belief now is, if you collect data the right way, it doesn't matter what niche you have or how big your audience is, you will sell. If you're looking for somebody who has used that exact system to 5, if not 15x multiple businesses, there's a link in the description to schedule a call with me personally. You and me will have a quick chat. I will lay out the roadmap for your business on how to get to the next step, and you can make a decision on whether you want to execute on that roadmap with me or without me. Either way, you will walk away with the clarity on what the next best steps are, and at least that spreads a positive reputation about me. This story is actually not made up. It is super real. We have his case study on our YouTube channel as well. His name is Mason. He makes 20K a month now at 90% profit, very successfully, and he does that consistently actually. And yeah, there's actually a link in the description to work with me if you're interested. Just saying. But if you want to now see all of this in real action, there's a video of me breaking down how we scale one of our clients to more than 100K a month with this exact system. 100K a month in profit, by the way. It became the fastest growing school community on earth. It's a Loom video, and I think it would help you a lot from here on because you would see everything that I've taught you in execution. The video is up here. Enjoy. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.